Not everyone is excited for Throne and Liberty, and that is perfectly fine. But for those of you that are, this right here is going to be of particular interest to you. Now, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the little bell notification. That way you remain up to date with every single thing that I post, and I post daily. Do not miss out. Amazon outlined their autumn 2024 content roadmap for the game. Throne and Liberty's arrival is imminent, with early access opening September 26th. And it has already opened. It actually opened pretty high, almost 60,000 concurrent players. And this was just early access. This was disregarding what is going to be probably millions of people overloading their servers on the 1st of October when the game fully opens. You'll soon be able to explore a dynamic world, forge new relationships with guilds, and challenge an array of dangerous foes. An abundance of exciting experiences arrives at launch, but more will soon emerge with frequent updates after our adventure begins. We know that existing fans who have been following the game's journey in Korea are curious about how we plan to release update content in our supported regions, and that is what we'll cover today. The future of the game, which I hope is long and fruitful, but based off what I've heard in Korea might not be the case. Find a sneak peek of our plans to weave content into Throne and Liberty after launch, and how we collaborate with NCSoft to bring updates to the region supported by Amazon Games. Our approach to releasing content. Update cadence. The content release cadence is one of the most important and trickiest things to get just right. That is true because the game has been out for what, like months, a year already in Korea, so we're already vastly behind them. When we think about the open world of Elysium, we want to ensure that it feels alive by layering in fresh experiences. We've tailored our roadmap to have multiple updates each month, where new content will be available to you. To continue the trend of bringing fresh experiences, we're putting an emphasis on live updates and seasonal and holiday content in the world of Elysium. Don't worry, we still believe there is something particularly magical about major releases and updates to a game, especially in MMO. To create a moment for the community to rally around, we're planning to have major releases roughly every 3 to 4 months. So this content cadence is similar to something like Final Fantasy XIV or WoW that inject a meta shift, new major systems, or other impactful experiences. First major update is planned for December, which is great because the game launches in, what, 2 days from now? October, that's less than 3 months. Our approach to vertical progression. In Korea, there have been several updates and increases to player power since Throne and Liberty's initial release. These increases included Tier 2 gear, the rune system, trait resonance, along with substance transformation. We want to further evaluate how players progress through their in-game journey before we determine when to release these systems. However, there are some things that we can tell you now. Tier 2 gear will not be introduced with the release of the 2-star dungeons as it was in Korea. We will not release the rune system and trait resonance at the same time. I honestly don't know if this is good or bad. Someone like Canon can probably tell you. Additional content. We have estimates for when we anticipate major updates will come to the game, but we want to take the time to identify the best opportunity and confirm it with both active player data and feedback. When able, we'll release changes that improve the overall experience without jeopardizing the player journey, such as quality of life updates, as quickly as possible. I think it's important that we don't fall too far behind Korea too fast and that we catch up so updates can be pushed out regularly and simultaneously. A great example of this approach is skill specializations, a feature we moved into our launch version because we felt it gave the best experience. This is also interesting because introducing features that are or were supposed to be introduced at a later date earlier might unbalance the game. There are also some exciting pieces of content we're currently collaborating with NCSoft to release in the same window globally. First of those will be the Halloween event. We have more surprises that'll be revealed in future roadmaps. With that context, let's dive into the content arriving after launch. In October, we're going to unlock our Milestone System. The Milestone System allows you to engage with new content at a known schedule after certain server-wide objectives have been completed. I don't know if this is going to be like group activities or solo activities. Before we go any further, let me take a moment here to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are phenomenal, and I can't thank you all enough for the support. Now let's keep talking. We've learned through player data and feedback that the previous pacing of the Milestone System was not right for our launch. For those familiar with the pacing from the original launch in Korea, we have significantly sped up. Most pieces of content will unlock, which is great. Learn from the failure that was the Korean launch. Our goal is to provide a content release schedule that allows you to progress and unlock new content at a reasonable pace, regardless of how much time you can dedicate to the game. We want to strike a balance where active players don't feel held back. That's impossible with an MMO, while simultaneously not overwhelming other players. Additionally, October will bring our first seasonal event, and like it'll bring our first event in general because our game will have literally existed for less than a month. Prepare for an all-new haunted adventure. Solicium is being transformed into a trick-or-treat paradise, blending familiar gameplay with eerie seasonal twists. As we mentioned previously, the content will release in the same window across the globe, giving you a chance to experience this event without any spoilers, other than this one. We'll dive into all the content coming your way in October more deeply throughout the month with detailed release notes for each of our updates across our global channels. Guild PvP events. Battle contesting guilds in 2 warfare modes, battles for boonstones and riftstones. Boonstones, once you interact with the boonstone in the hunting grounds, the capture begins. A guild that successfully captures and holds it at the end of the timer will get additional experience points and item drops. Riftstones, gather your guildmates with a defined area to obtain points and capture the riftstone. The guild that fills a capture gauge or has the most members inside of the capture zone at the end of the timer will earn additional chances to defeat bosses and get stat buffs. So they're essentially PvP events, but set in like a PvP or a PvE setting, which is honestly good, I think. Open world bosses, I think, are always incredibly fun. Field bosses and arc bosses are 2 of the main bosses you'll encounter across Elysium. Field bosses are powerful bosses that can be found throughout the world, dropping valuable rewards, and arch bosses will release later in the month. They're extremely powerful. We vanquish once a week for impactful gear rewards. So field bosses are kind of just like elites or rares, and then the arch bosses are kind of like the real world bosses. There are milestone unlocks for October. The following dates are when content will first unlock for early access and then full launch servers. Some content will unlock, but the first battle or fight may take place at a set time later in the week when they arrive. For example, guilds will need to declare for boonstone and riftstone battles, and bosses will have scheduled spawns. November, so the month after release. As guilds form, develop chemistry, and hone their skills throughout October, November will feature events for them to firmly establish their hold on Silicium in the form of the first tax delivery event in Castle. So joy, tax delivery. But castle sieges, that sounds fun. We'll also launch Arena Season 1. Wait, we're going a whole month without an arena season, an active arena season? That's a choice. For those who prefer the dangers in the wilds of Silicium to all-out guild warfare, we're tentatively planning to release 2-star co-op dungeons in November. Aren't all dungeons co-op dungeons? Okay. As mentioned previously, we'll evaluate how you're progressing before finalizing the dates. Full details to come as we approach November. Castle sieges. Reigning guilds will close gates, bolster defenses, and relentlessly fight to stop those brave or foolish enough to attempt to seize control. You'll also need to contend with several other guilds vying for the throne. You know what? I feel like Throne and Liberty feels, or sounds at least, a lot like what New World sounded like, but like the Korean New World. I don't know if I'm the only one that's kind of getting those vibes from this. The match seems to last 45 minutes. It's a long time. But at the same time, I feel like it's not too long. It's not going to be too drawn out. The tax delivery event, accumulated taxes from the manor to the castle, and survive hostile guards trying to steal your wealth. Guild that owns a castle chooses one player to transform into a tax delivery golem that travels from the village to the castle. This actually seems kind of cool. It does. That I didn't think that was going to be what this was, but that's a kind of a cool sounding event. Then finally in December will be the first major update for Throne and Liberty, packed to the brim with significant pieces of new content. With a ton of exciting experiences and adventures you already have to look forward to at launch. We'll share an in-depth look later this fall at what you can expect from our first major update, so make sure you stay tuned to our website and social channels after launch to learn more. This sounds good. I feel like this is a solid roadmap. The content cadence seems good. We have lots coming over the course of the next few months. Regardless of whether or not this seems like something you like, you should definitely try it out. Don't let people tell you not to. Worst case scenario, you don't like it, you waste a little bit of your time. Best case scenario, you have a ton of fun and have something new to play. Regardless of whether it turns out good or bad, whether it is a flop or a success, this is a new free MMO to play. Do not miss out. Hey you, where do you think you're going? Don't you close out of this tab. I didn't give you permission to do that. Sit your ass back down. Click one of the 2 videos that are gonna be on screen in just a moment and keep watching my content. Keep enjoying my content.